It's alright, no, really, you'll like it. It'll grow on you. It's really good music. It's one of my favourites. Yeah, just worry about it. Just sit down, give it some time, give it a good listen. Yeah, don't worry about it. So I'm taking a nice walk along the river this morning, near to where I live, and nice sunny day. Just been reflecting a little on how things have been since the end of the main part of lockdown, things opening up for us. I wanted to share a message for the English Sangha, just as a reflection really. Recently I went down to visit Chithurst, and I know things have been very different with the lockdown and with COVID, but it was so strange to be moving into a small area of half of the Dhamma hall cordoned off. There's no cushions, they're taking all the cushions away, you couldn't sit down. And people Sangha were a long way away. They wouldn't even do their anumodana chanting inside, they had to go and stand outside. It seemed like, it's about precautions. It seemed that Sangha seemed to be getting a bit almost anal about the protecting themselves. And then a few days ago, some friends of mine, Thai friends, went to Amravati, and they had sent me a little film of this huge great open marquee with nobody in it. Well, about 2 monks I think, and there's a big community there. They went to offer dana and they said there's no one there to talk to. Everyone, again, it seems silly overprotective, especially when, for some weeks now, if I go, I'm welcomed in any shop and stores where I go to buy things. I need a tin of paint to decorate the hall, or a new pair of shoes. There's someone there welcoming me, but my own spiritual home, nobody there. And it's quite hard actually for me personally, being received in that way, and or not being received in that way. And I understood that there's a group of supporters, a lay committee of advisors for the Sangha who, set the standards for everyone. So, Sangha feel they need to follow this committee, and which is fair enough. Although, when it comes to, I can understand if you have some members of the community who are very vulnerable, and perhaps they decide they don't want to take this vaccine, but surely if someone's unwilling to take the vaccine and they've made that decision, they should be willing to die for it, to accept that this is their position, rather than have an entire community, that's a community shielding to protect someone. And the monasteries themselves, the buildings, the whole setup is established for people to spend time on their own, to be more isolated. I know no family who can live that way, who have that support. Seeing the Sangha English Sangha have become so wealthy and their life is so comfortable, they don't need, everything's delivered and they can separate themselves completely. And the teaching's all gone online. You have your talks, you go and, watch on the computer. Which, my experience of making videos and video talks, and if you look at analytics of these talks, mostly the people's attention span's very short. 3 minutes, I think, on average, and try and keep them short. But when it comes to the contact, my first most profound meetings with the community have been, I walked in the door as a layman years ago and met somebody and was able to one-to-one, a conversation has far more impact than sitting listening to a lofty talk, which is maybe go on for an hour on aspects of practice. But in often cases seems way outside the realm of people's lives. So I feel disappointed by the Sangha in this respect, and it means to me that those, it's a gift. There is a gift to be able to talk for a long period of time, give long Dhamma talks, and into space in front of a camera or something. But really, the most direct teaching, or best direct support, is one-to-one, and many of those monks may be very gifted, and monks and nuns are gifted in giving talks, public talks, maybe aren't so often so good at that one-to-one friendly connection, the empathy with the person in their situation. And I hope that in time they'll come back to this, and there won't be this sort of isolation practice and teaching all being done online. The computer and our little mobile phones are becoming a real problem, and I think if we consider the Vinaya, monks is meant to, we shouldn't be teaching or practicing teaching to people we feel aren't really paying attention. It's in the Vinaya, people who are actually listening, attentive, respectful. And yet we spend hours talking to little machines, which, many of us are probably listening to this little talk video while, travelling on the train, doing the washing up, sitting on the toilet, goodness knows what. And their mind's everywhere. They may be doing several things at once, and they're not really paying that attention. So it's that direct attention which I feel is missing. I understand why. I just hope that it comes to an end. We can, this anal, obsession with protecting ourselves from something which is inevitable. We're all going to die. Everyone dies. And to be so frightened, I don't understand why we're so frightened. The Sangha is so frightened. No family, no homes, no people I know can afford to isolate themselves completely. They have to go to work. They live with family groups. They can't shut themselves off. The rest of the world is moving on, and it's time the Sangha did. Really needs to move on and recognise that COVID's here for good. And forest Sangha, forest monks, the whole image of the forest monk living in the forest where as a human being, I remember in Thailand, we're sort of very much part of the food chain when you're living in the jungle, and you have to be alert, to be awake, aware, attentive, and to find ourselves in an environment which we are so well controlled. The Sangha are so wealthy and well supported, they don't need anybody anymore. They can just wall themselves in. And to me, this is not what the Sangha's about. It's a mendicant. You're meant to be out in the world, not closed away. So it's me making a little video and sharing my thoughts, my feelings. There was a time in the English Sangha when sharing one's thoughts and feelings was very much encouraged in order to bring a sort of supportive, harmonious community. So in that spirit, I offer these comments, not as a series of criticism. I'd always have a enormous respect, gratitude for the Sangha for all they've ever given to me. But at this time, myself personally, I never thought, I was very much afraid I wouldn't survive this COVID thing. Many of you know I have lungs are in a terrible state, pretty ragged. Notice get out of breath just walking along the river here, and it's not even a hill. But I'm not in a position where I can afford to be completely isolated. I can't expect my friends to do everything for me, and I wouldn't want to be a burden. It's important for us to look after each other and to recognise that, life is uncertain, and we need to be open, prepared to take this practice to the ultimate. And if our peace of mind and our comfort is very much dependent on everything, the whole world exactly the way we want it, then conditions only have to be exactly right for us to be able to practice. Then I suggest you're doing something wrong. We need to be flexible and open to the way it is, and the way it is now is that things are uncertain, and life is far more precious, and we should use it well and share what we have and not hide. I understand that talking to monks a couple of years ago before this COVID thing, he went to the Ngan at Wat Nong Pa Pong in January, and he said that he went to a place where more of the senior monks were able to kind of chill a little bit of quiet and shade, and he's surrounded by monks just fingering through their smartphones while the talks were going on outside. I'm glad that these things didn't really have any place in the community when I was living in it. I'm glad that didn't happen for me, but I can see that it's so much easier for many now the Sangha to give retreats and talks and things online. I understand you're making good money out of those. Donations are good, expenses are very small. But I hope this is something that's not going to become the normal, and we can share special, precious time individually, one-to-one, when one can go along to the monastery and find someone to talk to. You have to get used to a new normal, a different normal. Living peacefully, comfortably with, and fearlessly in a world of uncertainty. Surely. It is, of course, possible that members of the Sangha may lose their lives to this virus, as people do, people have been, people will continue to, probably. And why not? Why not? We go through life, begins and ends, we never know when it comes to an end. Death is probably the most fundamentally important part of our existence. Life is not self-sustaining. Life depends on death. One time, this body, I will need to die in order to make space for everyone else. Death is our gift to the world. We live because of death. Of others, things dying, plants and animals die in order for us to go on. Death is something that needs to be understood, Luang Por Chah said. Or it's reputed to have said that life is very confusing for one who doesn't understand death. So as we walk this path together, my question is to the English Sangha, what is it you're so afraid of? Because I'm myself afraid that you're losing touch. The rest of the world is moving on, and to a world of acceptance and including this thing, and not recognising that we can't shut it out, we just have to learn to live with it. The young and the old, the holy, the unholy, the privileged and the less privileged. We all live with this COVID.
Oh, big ticket.
What's the do? Say it again.